outside for a few minutes, though. I got plenty of time. Yes, that went well, didn't it? Oh, well, not to worry. Right, let me catch up, and we'll just get that sorted out. Boom. Welcome, crew, to the Running Late Andy Mechanic YouTube channel. Live stream Sunday morning. And I got up early this morning, and the sun's shining, the birds are singing. All is well, apart from the fact that I decided to go outside and just for 5 minutes remove a little bracket off a trailer that I'm repairing that I've got to, I'll show you later on, I've got to do something with because it's broken. And yes, didn't go down well at all when I realized what time it was. Okay, YouTube, come on, catch up. There we go. That's what we need. Right, let's find out who is in the workshop. Roger Heaps. Good morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Roger. Yes, it's a live stream this morning, and I only just made it on time. It was a panic thumbnail, one-shot deal. Get it up there. Get the live stream logged with YouTube and crack on. No messing around. First coffee of the day. Very nice. Okay, let's get to it. Daz, 323323. Morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Daz. Joe Fuentes. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. Good morning, Lord Andy. See, some people do remember. Unfortunately, Alan doesn't. But anyway, it's all part of the fun, isn't it? He did chuckle when he saw that. Jim K, hello. Good morning, Jim. Can't remember if we've spoken this week or not. I've been at home most of the week, so you should be able to call me. If not, give me a call tomorrow. In the office tomorrow. More admin. Been doing admin all week, to be perfectly honest. Apart from a mad dash to Hamilton to get trailer parts. More on that shortly. And, well, I had to post out a special tool, urgent, to Stratford, actually. Yeah. Been very busy. I can't confidently say that all my admin work is up to date because it really, really isn't. But it's better. It's better than it was. I've got one more day to smash some more out. And then I can do a bit while I'm up in Auckland because I'm in Auckland. Drive up Tuesday morning, come back Friday afternoon. So I'm pretty busy up there. And that's my last week before I go back to the South Island. And record duration on this next trip because we've got an event happening down there that's taken up a whole week of my time as well. I thought, well, you know what? Maybe I should do some motorcycle shop visits while I'm down there, you know, work efficiently and all that. Hey, Keith's on board. Morning, Keith. Look at that. You don't have to keep doing that, matey. It's all good, but thank you very much. Appreciate it. That'll probably pay for, I don't know, half a cigarette in New Zealand to give you an idea of how bloody expensive things are. Hey up, we've got some beeps. Bear with me, people. There's all sorts going on. Oh, Simon. Sorry, Daniel. Morning, Daniel. I'll come to yours very shortly, matey. I'm not ignoring you. Where do we get to? Right. I hope all is well with you, Keith. Are you still doing your service support, technical support stuff over the phone, working from home? Or have you got another job? I don't know. I'm a bit out of touch with you, unfortunately, on your current status. Now, Simon Roll. Morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Simon. Welcome back, matey. Good to have you on board. Sheldon. Good morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, Sheldon. I have a dilemma for you, being the engineer or an engineer that tunes in. Hang in there. I'll get to it straight after we've caught up, actually, and then that way you're not having to hang around for the whole live stream if you haven't got time. George Body 90. Hello, everybody. Big thumbs up. Good morning, George. Welcome back, sir. Daniel Bedell. Hello, Mrs. Mechanic, Andy and crew. Well, spoiler alert, Mrs. Mechanic's still in bed, or she was the last time I checked. But she is coming out to the workshop a bit later on. She's got some more of those kits to put together, just the last few remnants. We've managed to make them a few more from like overrun pieces and bits and pieces. So I've got to get those together because they're still in demand. I really don't know if we're going to get another batch authorised or not, given the huge slowdown in the economic climate here in New Zealand. Nobody's buying nothing other than shopping, which is all of their money, basically, for most people. But yeah, things are they've really slowed down. Maybe it's just starting to pick up now that the weather's getting a bit better. I don't know. Maybe that's, it's too soon to tell, to be honest. It could easily collapse and everybody's just, close their coffers again. I don't know. So good morning to you, Daniel. Sheldon, looking forward to seeing you soon for a beer or two, I reckon. I keep saying this every year. It's been a tough year. It's been another tough year. A very different year to last year and the year before. But it's been tough. There's very different stuff going on. Be careful what I say. I mean, I've already said that a lot of farmers are not spending money on maintaining their vehicles. I don't know if it applies to the tractors or not, because they're high value machines. But certainly the smaller vehicles that run around the farm, be it motorcycles or ATVs, ROVs, whatever it is, the side-by-sides, don't know why they've been pushing back the servicing. But from what I can see, and I can't speak for every farmer, there's some out there that are very, very good. In general, it's on the increase, or it has been on the increase. It may get better by the end of the year. I don't know, but man, some of them are really paying the price now. They really are. JJ, morning, Andy and crew. Good morning, JJ. Lots of thumbs up. Good man. Well done. Nathan Hale, that's a new name. Good evening. Good evening, Nathan. Welcome to the workshop. It's not freezing down here. It's just fresh, I think a Yorkshireman would say. It's a fresh morning. The sun's out. It's going to warm up. It won't be hot today, but it's going to be quite a nice day by the looks of it. I don't think there's any rain forecast for today, which is good. Kevin. Machine NZ. Hi, Andy. Good morning, Machine NZ. Hope all is well. Hope your machining is going well and you are accurate. Your tolerances are fine. We should come up with a phrase, shouldn't we, for engineers? The Giant Governor. Good evening, Andy and crew from South Africa. I'm sure that's a cut and paste from every live stream. I'm only kidding, mate. You're right. The Giant, hope you're well, matey, and welcome back. Simon, wow, you guys are busy on the comments. It's good. Simon, I found out I'm not as, I think, nimble as I used to be today after putting a clutch in my car. Yeah, they're always fun, aren't they? A bit sore tonight and rolling around on the floor. I remember putting a clutch in an SJ410 Suzuki Jeep in the snow. I could normally, because I've done a fair few of those, in my prime, I could do a clutch in about 45 minutes, maybe an hour, on one of those little Jeeps. It wasn't hard. The gearboxes are nice and light. There's not many bolts to undo. Start motor's easy to get to. You've got to undo the transfer box of its mounts and jack it up so you can get the center prop out. That's probably the worst job. I used to have a little insert that I could put in the gearbox made from a broken center prop, which would stop any oil leaking out. That was a bonus. You got the gear levers to take out and stuff. There's only 4 bell housing bolts and a little plate, a little tin plate at the bottom. It's pretty easy, but I was pretty quick at it too. But doing it in the snow, that wasn't fun at all. It wasn't fun. I'm not sure if that's not the time I caught hypothermia, but it wasn't a good day or night. It was in the evening, by the way. It wasn't during the day. It was in torchlight. But I was stupid, and I was probably, I would say maybe 23, 22 years old. So you just get on with it, don't you? You don't care, and you're invincible. Not invincible anymore, I know that, but back then could do anything. Lift anything, go anywhere, do whatever it was. It just got done. Jim K. Mrs. needs to come visit. She'd like that, Jim. She would. But we both like that. We've got things are getting planned. Jim's gonna source some motorcycles for us, I think, in the States. We're gonna go on an adventure. Oh, talking of adventures, the postie bike, postie buggy thing that they use here in New Zealand. I'm not sure on the updates that I've given you so far, but it turns out that the New Zealand government have only allowed those to be registered for New Zealand Post. And I still can't find any for sale. It doesn't look like they're disposing them either. Maybe just holding them onto them for parts to run the ones that they've got. They've had a lot of problems with them, to be fair. Something to do with the back axle, whether it was wheel bearings or diff or what, I don't know. And windscreens are ridiculously expensive for them, so they're probably just holding on to the ex-fleet ones just for windscreens. I don't know. It's looking more and more unlikely that we're going to be able to get our hands on one. So I need to come up with a new plan, a different plan, something else. Daniel, hello Keith, long time now. See, buddy. Sheldon, on speaking about trailer parts, here we go. I saw a Spates mobile tavern go past work on a trailer. That's brilliant. And noticed it was a triple axle trailer like yours. Well, Spates Fleet Manager has a very good choice of trailers. Ifor Williams trailers, you can't go wrong. They are brilliant. And we're going to be talking about trailers today, and specifically electric brakes. I've learned something, which I couldn't believe. I had to go online and check a few websites and just make sure I was right. There's a bit of a revelation going on. I will come to that shortly. Mike Adams, hi y'all. I'm late but present. It's all right, Mike. I was nearly late as well. Don't worry. Tar Heel Aerials. That's a good one. Howdy, first time here, mate. Yes, don't recognise that name. Good morning, Tar Heel Aerials. What's your normal name? I'll see if I can try and remember it. If you want to give it, obviously. Purple Monkey 1974, message retracted. Virginia Governor. Thank you, Andy. Love watching your go-kart build video. Yes, there's lots more of those to come. Episode 2's already filmed. I'm basically, all I'm doing with my spare time, other than fixing trailers, and I made a video yesterday on this trailer repair, specifically the electric brakes. So I don't want to give too much away today because, you know, video's good. So I'm trying to film, get it all in the can, fill up the hard drive, and then when I go down to the South Island on the evenings, some evenings, not every evening, I've got to work sometimes, I can start editing those up and try and get ahead of the game a little bit. It's been a long time since I've been ahead of the game with videos on, you know, uploaded, edited, done, and then just scheduled for release. I've not had that for probably a couple of years. So, it's got in me coffee. Damn. Trying to get ahead, basically. Just it takes the pressure off enormously if you can get to that stage, then just keep the ball rolling. Got another video to do next weekend, which will be taking the engine out of the Bonnie. I don't have space in the trailer to take the whole bike. The trailer's going to be very, very full. And what I noticed yesterday, this particular trailer, it's a box trailer, single axle, only 2 tires touching the ground. Each tire is rated for 800 kilograms, which is pretty good, but there's only 2 of them. So gross weight loaded 1600 kgs, and it's a box trailer and it's pretty heavy. So I don't think the payload capacity for that trailer is particularly high, even with those tires on. So at some point, I'm going to see if I can get the trailer weighed on a weigh bridge up in Auckland just to see exactly how much it weighs. It's used a lot for motocross races and stuff as well, and it's got some water tanks and stuff on it. So, you know, I can find out what the capacity of those are and factor that in, because I strongly suspect that the trailer's been overloaded. We had a problem not too long ago with this particular trailer. It's not mine, by the way. It's a customer's. A problem with this particular trailer where, well, a wheel fell off, or almost fell off, and it broke some wheel studs. So I think, you know, that's a clear indication, unless somebody's been over tightening the studs, that's a clear indication that it's had too much stuff in it. So the wheel studs have all been replaced. I didn't do that. They've all been done. And larger, you know, so more heavy duty tires fitted to the trailer. Unfortunately, I did spot yesterday that the tires are they're specific in rotation. They've got an arrow. So the spare tyre, from a legal perspective and a safety perspective, can only be fitted to one side of the trailer, which is a bit of a problem. It's only a spare tyre for one of the tyres. I mean, okay, you're going to fit it to get home, right? But even so, it's actually not right. And you know me, I like things to be right. So that's something else I've got to report. And they've only just bought them as well. So it's a bit of a problem. So yeah, lots more go-kart stuff coming. Things are stalled on that at the moment because I need to get some thicker wall pipe for the main chassis tubes. What I got was the wrong stuff. I didn't know what the wall thickness was till I cut it open. Couldn't cut it open till I'd done the other pipes. So it was like a chicken and egg situation. Doesn't matter. I've got some more pipe in stock for other jobs, which is fine. But I need to source the right pipe. I'll try and get it in Auckland next week. I may not be able to, given time constraints and probably funds as well. We'll have to wait and see how things pan out. Right, Purple Monkey 1974. Glad you're late because I'm late too. Join the club, mate. We'll have the late club. Nathan Hale. Here we go. This is a good one. Scrolling down. I used your method to gap and time my CB750 chopper and found out how out of shape I am. Pulled a muscle in my left thigh at the knee and was out of service for 2 days. Holy shit. Yes. As we all get older, things don't work as well. I live in a world of aches and pains. I'm sure many of us do at my age. 51 years old now. I know. It's crazy, isn't it? Tar Heel Aerials. Where are you from, mate? Andy? I'm from Yorkshire in England. I'm in the US, United States, mate. Oh, and I think Andy is that your name as well? Or are you just using Andy lots in your text? Simon, it's for a charity. Can you ask the post office to lend one for charity? Yeah, I could, but the problem is that because the government and I've got the document, this is how cool it is, I managed to find the document online. Because the government have only given permission to that particular company, I suppose we can call them, for that particular usage to have the vehicles registered for the road. Even if they were to lend me one and I used it, or Mrs. Mechanic, or we all used it to drive across New Zealand, it would be essentially in breach of the permission. So I'm pretty confident the fleet manager would say, no, I'm sorry, we can't do that. So it's a big problem, but it's something that I've not given up on, but it's proving to be a lot harder than I first thought. Tar Heel Aerials. I'm William. Morning, William. Right. Mike Adams. Last time I changed a clutch was about 20 years ago on a 1975 Ford F-150. Cast iron 3-speed. I'm sure I could still do it, but all those sit-ups and squats on the ground will get me nowadays. Cast iron gearbox. That's going to be really heavy. I remember putting a gearbox. I don't think it had the transfer box on it, to be fair. I can't really remember. Maybe it did. Maybe it was a 4-speed and you've got to build the transfer box up on the bench with the gearbox on a Nissan Patrol. And we'd done the clutch on it, or a gearbox swap or something. I can't quite remember what it was. Ollie was there, my youngest brother, and he had a strap round the gearbox pulling from above. We couldn't get the engine hoist in. And I was underneath. And I remember we were putting the gearbox back onto the block, trying to line up the bell housing bolts. And he would pull up on the strop. I would try and lift it. They are really heavy. I mean, I couldn't do it now. And I was pushing up on the gearbox. Oh, Eloise's birthday. Nice. We'll snooze for that one. And I had probably maybe 10 or 15 seconds of oomph in me to lift this bloody great gearbox up into place and try and get the bell housing bolts lined up. And then we had to relax. And of course, Ollie had to relax as well, which meant the whole weight of the gearbox was sat on my chest. And it was to the point where I really couldn't breathe. It was just holding me down. And it was a very bad experience. I didn't like it at all. I'm a bit claustrophobic as it is. and I'm certainly worse now than I used to be. But I would never do that again. That was a bad day. We got it in, but I was not happy by the end of it. I tell you that. Connor K is in the workshop. Good morning, Connor. Morning, Andy and crew. Replaced a few clutches back in the 1980s. First time I didn't have the disc alignment tool, which went out and bought one immediately after that miserable experience. Yes, I was fortunate because the majority of clutches we did were on the little Suzukis. They were pretty prone with the kind of customers we had. Clutches are pretty weak, and it was easy to burn them out. There wasn't a lot of torque on those machines, so people tended to ride the clutch a lot more, being a little engine. So I did, once we got a couple of blown gearboxes from the 410 and the 413, I quickly ripped out the input shaft and used that as my alignment tool. Prior to that, I'd have to sort of sit up, and the vehicles weren't on hoist, they were on axle stands, usually. I would have to sit up inside the bell house, inside the tunnel of the body, and then just do it by sight, you know, as I was doing it, buttoning up the pressure plate bolts. And usually I got it right. I was pretty good at doing it, but it made it a lot easier with the proper alignment tool, you know, with an actual shaft to do it with. So now I hear you, Connor. You've got to have the tools, and it makes it a lot easier. Daniel Beddle. And what's the story about the Triumph? The last video I saw it was on, when you broke down and thoroughly explained how the gears function. Oh, that's right. So at this point in time, no, I think wasn't the next video the primary drive? We stripped the primary drive. Can't quite remember. No, you're right. You're right. We had to do the primary drive first before we did the gearbox. We were doing the gearbox parts inspection. There you go. I now still haven't had time to write out a give me a spreadsheet, right? Because there's plenty of them, to do a parts list for Alan. I'm way behind on schedule with that. It needs to be done. Am I going to get it done this week? Highly unlikely. I really want to get it done before I go away. Otherwise, I'll have to take the parts manual and stuff with me and do it while I'm on the road. But it has to be done. At the moment, the bike is just here. I've done nothing more to it, but I now do need to take the engine out because we're taking the engine down to Invercargill. And Stu down there is going to give me a hand with his experience on Triumphs, to rebuild the engine, gearbox, and primary drive. I think what I'll do is I'll take all the parts with me as well that I've got in the boxes. Everything's in boxes. We probably won't have the parts when I get there. So this particular trip will be a case of just get the engine down there, and then on my next trip to the South Island, which will be early next year, might be before, then we'll have a weekend. The engine will already be there. We'll have the parts. We'll do the work, and then somehow I'll get the engine back here. I can't take it as carry-on. It's way too heavy. So we'll have to come up with a cunning plan. But I really want to involve Stu in the rebuild because he's very experienced on Triumphs. He's done a lot of them over the years. I can get him to check over the parts to make sure I haven't missed anything. And we'll go from there. But at the moment, it's just, I've got lots of other stuff to get on with. It's not a priority at the moment. It's one of those projects, a bit like the CB750, that I just keep going back to every few weeks or months and do a bit more. I'm a bit more focused at the moment on the go-kart. I really want to get that up and running and get it out. You know, I mean, Jared's been waiting for 2 years for that already. The Triumph has been here for 1 year already. Facebook sent me a notification because I posted the picture when I picked it up. A whole year. Crazy. Tar Heel Aerials. Where is everyone from in chat? United States here. North Carolina is the state, mates, in chat. We get a lot of viewers from the States, to be honest. William, wasn't it? William? I think it was William. William, yes. There we go. Good memory. Mike Adams. Connor K, I'm guessing you still have that alignment tool, huh? Probably does. Simon, Connor K, the tool is a godsend. Had to buy a new one, but for £11, it's nothing. Now, just spend the money. Have done with it. Purple Monkey 1974. GB. Simon Roll, UK. Mike Adams, Tar Heel Aerials. I'm in Johnson City, Tennessee. This is pretty cool. Tar Heel Aerials, neighbours here, Mike Adams, mate. That's right. You ever heard of Sparky or Mick Mowers? No, not me. AJ44, just a bit late to the party. Hello, Andy and crew. Good morning, AJ44. Connor K, Mike Adams. I gave it to my brother, but it's still around. Quality tools. Joe Fuentes. Last clutch I changed was in a Peterbilt. Wow. With a C15 Caterpillar and a 13-speed transmission. What fun, Long. I have worked on some very small plant. We used to have a little Kramer Alrad 312 SE. Did a bit of work on that, changed the clutch packs in that in a field. Not ideal. With Uncle Jeremy, top bloke. We had a Unimog, did a fair bit of work on the old Unimog, if you could class that as plant. And we did have a Drott. I think it was an old International Drott, 4-in-1 bucket on it. And all I really did to that was weld up the bogies because they'd cracked because there was a lot of seized links in the tracks and it had stressed it all out. That was about it, really. I haven't done a lot of plant stuff, unfortunately. Or fortunately, depending how you look at it. Trying to steer clear. It's real hard work. Now then. Roger Heaps. Done a clutch on a D22 Nissan, a 4-wheel drive Nissan Navara. I used to have the D22 Nissan Navara with my son a few weeks ago. Some very sore muscles after. The only work I ever did on my... I did a fair bit actually on our D22. I managed to break the front prop shaft. That was more corrosion than me. Both front A-arms broke. That was from doing a jump in it. Yes, I used to take Ben to school. We lived, you know, in a forest, and it was about a half-hour drive to school. The school was on the coast. It was a nice school he went to, and there was as you came off the main road, got onto the back road, it was dead straight, and then it rose up a little bit and then dropped down a hill. It was a phenomenal jump. Anyway, we had Mrs. Mechanic in the front seat. Ben was in the back. We're in what we call the double cab. And I decided to gun it. It was a nice morning. The sun was out. It wasn't frosty. And Ben's like, because we used to do jumps most mornings, me and Ben. And he's like, go on, Dad, go on, do a jump. So I nailed it. We got up to 70 miles an hour, which is a bit faster than what we normally do it at. And just as we went over the lip of the jump, the school bus that had dropped off all his mates was going the other way. So we were pretty much airborne as we went past the school bus going the other way. And we took a lot of air on that one. We traveled a lot further than we would normally travel. The road's busy dropping away, you know, and we're still going up. When we landed, it was very similar. Obviously, it wasn't as long a jump as the Gone in 60 Seconds one, but we got the squirm. So when we landed, and by this point, Mrs. Mechanic's already punching me in the shoulder, you know, because that's what would happen if we did jumps in the car. As we landed, the car, we squirmed off to the left, and I was busy trying to correct that, and then it went off to the right a bit. So we had a bit of oversteer going on. There was a bit of a squirm, and it was pretty close, but it also made quite a loud bang when we landed. And it wasn't driving quite the same. So dropped Ben off at school, made it home. And over the next couple of days driving it around, it was starting to make this sort of creaking noise. And I'm like, that's not good. And we did buy this car brand new, don't forget. So, you know, I was a bit concerned. So we got the front end jacked up. And it was a few years old. It was probably 4 or maybe 5 years old at this point. And corrosion had set in. The UK is not great on cars. They do salt the roads and stuff. And corrosion had set in on the A-arms. And this jump was the final straw for these A-arms. And it actually cracked both A-arms through, both left and right hand ones. And the wheels were not looking particularly lined up anymore. So I had to order some new A-arms. And then replacing the A-arms was a problem because the torsion bar suspension at the front, one of them was seized in on the splines, and with us getting it out, it was an absolute bastard to get out. With us getting it out, we put a nick in the torsion bar with the punch, and I thought nothing of it. I didn't, think it'd be a problem. Anyway, a week later, the torsion bar broke while I was towing a trailer. which was interesting. Luckily, I was on the Dolby Forest Drive. I wasn't actually on a main road, and the front end dropped right down. And so I stopped. Thought, holy shit, what's going on? We've just fixed this. And sure enough, the torsion bar had just fractured. And it had fractured at the start point was where we'd nicked it with the punch or the chisel. And yeah, lesson learnt. Spring steel doesn't like having nicks in it, does it? You know? So anyway, I carried on. I kept driving the vehicle as it was. That way, it's still going. We'll get the job done, and I'll order a new torsion bar when I get home. Did that. We replaced the rear springs in it. We did the rear diff in it. And the fuel pump got blocked up. There's a little tiny. This was the 2.5 turbo diesel with the intercooler on it. And there's it was running like a piece of shit. It wouldn't pull at all. It lost a lot of power. And I found a little tiny gauze filter on the side of the fuel pump. So we flicked that out, cleaned that out, put it in. It was fine after that. But other than that, very good vehicle. Did about 130 odd thousand miles in that car in the 9 years that we had it. It did a lot of heavy towing with it as well. Way overweight towing. We sold it when we left the UK, and 6 months later, the chassis snapped in half. The guy that bought it snapped it in half. Yeah, no guarantees with that truck. Anyway, had a very hard life. Where do we get to? Scrolling back. We need to get the pie in, don't we? Mike Adams. I remember your video when you went through the clutch system on a bike. The stacked system looked a lot like the stacked clutch assembly on a top fuel dragster. Wow, didn't know that. I've never really been exposed to dragster vehicles or drag vehicles. Nathan Dunn, evening Andy from northeast of England, not too far from my home probably. Simon Raw, hi from the northeast too. The Giant Governor from South Africa, yes. Daniel Bedell, you really should check out Cars and Cameras. I think you'll like their crazy go-kart builds and drag rail. Cars and Cameras. I'll do that, Daniel. Hang on, let's take a picture of that because I like to remember this stuff. There we go. I will check that out later on. Tar Heel Aerials. Sparky is one of the DJs on Reach on Air Radio. Never heard of it. For Jane Governor, I'm a diesel mechanic by trade. Good man. Good skill to have. Daniel, they took a Predator 670. It will be Predator. A Predator 670 engine from Harbour Freight and made it the power plant for the drag rail. Wow. Willoy Levy, hello from Sweden. I have been to Sweden, I think, but for a very, very short time. I think we rode through Sweden. I could be wrong. It was a long time ago. Did a lot of the countries in Europe. Mike Adams, Daniel Bedell, I took my 13-year-old niece to the drag strip last weekend. She was grinning ear to ear watching the junior dragsters. I bet she was. Great fun. Tar Heel Aerials. Yay, Daniel. Cars and Cameras is crazy. I will watch that. We're catching up. Connor K. Andy, did you yell yeehaw? Yeehaw! Or have a 01 painted on the side of your car when you made that jump? Ben is a top fan of the Dukes of Hazzard, as am I, to be honest. I grew up with the Dukes of Hazzard. And doing jumps in cars, I suppose, just became the normal thing for us. I remember doing a jump in Mum's Renault 21, I think it was, a white one, over a humpback bridge on the way to Flamingo Land. There was a pub opposite, and we were going to the pub for the evening. And when we landed, there was a bit of a bang, and a few weeks later, the car went in for a service. It was still driving around and stuff. Went in for a service, and one of the mechanics at Dad's garage called me across, and I wasn't, I was still at school at the time, at college, and he says, "Do you know anything about this?" And I'm like, "What's that then?" And the car's up on the hoist, and we're looking at the sump, and that car had an aluminum sump with fins on it for cooling. And well, this one didn't have any fins in anymore. They'd all gone, and it was all scratched to buggery. And I was like, ooh, you know what Dad's like when he's driving these cars? The guy just shook his head and I just wandered off. I wasn't going to admit to that one. Yeah, but it was bad. It could have ended in catastrophe, could that one, to be honest. I was lucky not to break the sump. They put a new one on it, to be honest. Now, here we go. Where do we get to? Oh, you guys are too fast. Let me get the pie put in. Hang on. Simon, remember jumping a humpback bridge with a dog in the car and looking over, seeing the dog taking off the seat and hitting the roof? I did that on a motorbike with Ollie on the back once, and he landed on the. Luckily, we had a top box on the back. It was a DT125R, and it was near Strensel, and we did the jump, and he wasn't really holding on that well. He knew I was a good rider, so he was pretty relaxed, and he took off. And he landed on the top box and managed to scrabble himself back onto the seat. Luckily, he didn't fall off the back. But yes, I saw it all in the rearview mirror. Where do we get to? Mike Adams, I wonder if you was to put a two-stroke motorcycle engine on one of those junior dragsters, if you'd get more speed than with a four-stroke. Interesting concept. I don't know, to be honest. I don't know. Two strokes don't have a lot of torque. That's the thing to think about. Daniel Bennell, are they quicker off the line? Two strokes. Don't know. Would rev higher. But then again, the four strokes can rev pretty high now as well. Yeah, difficult one. You'd have to give it a go, wouldn't you? You need a bloody big two-stroke engine. Now then, Daniel Biddle and Mike Adams, I'm glad she loved it. I have hopes that she will become a gearhead. I'm sure she will. She keeps going to the drag strip. Tar Heel Aerials, anyone ever watched Vice Grip Garage here on YouTube? I have watched Vice Grip Garage. Don't remember too much about it, but I have watched a few of the episodes. Daniel Biddle, I have to admit, I always loved Daisy Duke. Well, she's got shorts named after her now. Daisy Dukes. And what nice shorts they are. Mike Adams, Daniel Beddle. It would be nice if she became a gearhead like us, but if she doesn't, I'll be glad she's at least have an understanding of mechanics for when she learns to drive. Yes, it makes people a lot more aware of what's going on. Was it mechanically attuned, I suppose, or forgiving? There's a word for it, I've forgotten. Daniel Bennell, of course, and of course, General Lee himself, meaning of the orange car. That's right. Simon Rowe, Daisy Dukes, why we all watch Dukes of Hazzard. Yeah, Daisy Duke and a Jeep. Mind you, it was a lot more fun when she was getting in the General Lee, because the Jeep, I think she just opened the door, but the General Lee, well, she had to go in through the window. That's right. Far better camera angle. Simon Roll, hit the like. Thank you, Simon. AJ44. Have we decided on what elfin for the go-kart? What elfin? Oh, you mean the engine? Typo. What engine? Yes, it's going to get a DR200 engine. I have plenty of spare ones. Be pretty cool. So it's going to have the farm special motor in it. It's big enough for the kids that are driving it, right? I know you want a more powerful engine. I've got more powerful. In fact, I'm looking at one now. That'd be fantastic, but it can't go in. It's too big. The frame won't take it. It's only a kid's go-kart. I think a DR200 motor will give them ample power, bearing in mind that my go-kart at their age was only a 70cc four-stroke. They get a 200cc four-stroke, and they've got, I don't know, 2 more gears, I think, as well. So, and they'll have a clutch, proper clutch. So I think it'll be a cool little buggy to go-kart to drive. It'll have, plenty of torque, first gear. And don't forget the wheels, I've not worked out the gearing yet, but I'm sure it'll be fine. It is what it is. And it'll definitely have enough speed. So Jared's like, ooh, really? I said, yeah, it'll be fine. Don't you worry. I think it'll be fine. So we're going to go with that. That's the plan of attack. And hey, as the kids get older, they can always go and buy a bigger go-kart. But it's only a small thing, to be perfectly honest. It's going to be pretty snug when I get in it. I know that. Now then, where we get to? Nathan Hale. I'm in Maryland, USA, near Annapolis. Okay, Nathan, thank you. Daniel Beddle. Mike Adams, I hope she becomes a gearhead. I say that because we need more female mechanics in the repair industry. We do. I've been watching that Mex or something it is, where they get the cars from Mexico. We've watched the first season now. That's pretty cool. It was good. Good to see another female mechanic on there. And they did some pretty good jobs. Although you don't see that much of the technical repairs, it's very much more about the trip into Mexico and getting the cars purchased to do up and the deals that they do, as opposed to the actual mechanicking. But hey, it's still interesting to watch. Now then, Jock Stewart. Sorry, Jock. Nearest I got was bolting a Chinese Lifen engine into a 1979 Yiski rotavator. Wow, bit of a beast now, and very handy. I bet it is. Very cool. Into a rotavator. I only ever used a rotavator when I was a kid. No health and safety. Just got on with it. Dad said, just go that way with it. So off I went, and keep your feet away from the chompy bits. Mike Adams, Daniel Bedell, I agree. Connor Kay, Daisy Duke, and Tool Girl Hannah. Oh yeah. Yeah, we're never going to forget Tool Girl Hannah, right? Oh dear. Mrs. Mechanic's probably watching, Connor. You're going to get me into trouble. Emma Steen Bass. Is there any way to keep my ATV from squatting when trying to properly torque the CVT drive belt? Not short of having a pudgy friend or two sit on it. Thanks, love your shows. Well, yes, there is. Because what you're doing is you're using the drive to the rear wheels to try and hold everything stationary. What you should be using is there's a tool that the manufacturer issue, which is a bit like a giant band clamp, a bit like a giant oil filter remover that, you know, a band that you tighten up and it goes around the sheave and then you lock it against the frame somewhere. And that's what stops the primary or the secondary sheaves from rotating. I do have my own special tool. Hang on, I'll go and get it. Here we go. Right. We've got to do the pie, people. We're getting late. What time is it now? Oh, my word. We haven't even done a pie yet. So this is what I made up. It has been laser cut. This is for a particular model of a particular manufacturer. I can't say which. And it works brilliantly. So on the primary sheave, it's got lots of little fins around the outside, whether they're probably for cooling. I don't know. They're a bit small for cooling. And it locks into those. The handle locks against the sway bar on the side by side, and it's perfect. It's brilliant. It's precise. There's no slip. It's very quick on and off, and it does the job. And I know Sheldon wants one of those. I know he does. In fact, he wants a full set, and I've still not got around to doing it. One day I will, but it's quite expensive to get tooled up from, to get more measured up and laser cut, and the first batch is expensive. So I just keep holding off, to be honest. I do. Yeah, probably could actually, rather than get them laser cut, if we just need one, I could probably actually just make one up. Because the outside is irrelevant. It's round because it looks nice. And these little square notches, well, they don't have to be square. That could be a drill hole. And then you could just slit disc in to cut them out. So it could be a semicircle at the top. It would make no difference at all. And you could just weld a handle on. So I could make maybe even make something out of an old brake disc. Actually, looking at that, maybe a reasonably solid brake disc would probably be the right size, would probably do the trick. So there you go, helpful hint. If you can make something up that will lock onto the outside of the sheave and then against the chassis rail, then you've got what you need. And they're a million times better than the band clamp things, because they just slip. Especially on the ROVs. They were never really designed for ROVs, to be fair. They were more designed for the little ATVs. So hopefully that helps. Daniel, Tar Heel, I love that YouTube channel. I've been a subscriber of this for almost 5 years now, I think. Wow. Simon Roll, with the small wheels, the go-kart is going to be nippy off the line on tarmac. It is. It's going to be fun. Can't wait to see the kids' faces. The Giants, Andy the pie. Right, that's it. So do the pie. The pie is... Oh, I've lost the pen. It is a Wild Bean Cafe. Okay, it is. Oh, back onto the old bags. That's weird. They've come up with some new bags, which are actually a bit waxy, so they're a bit more grease-proof. And there's a new design. Now, this is... Here you go, look. This is... On camera, Andy, on camera. This is a pork and apple. It's a new line from Wild Bean Cafe. Not a sponsor, they should be. That's what the top looks like. There's a little bit of seasoning on there. Structural integrity looks very, very good. The base, nice. It feels very good. Obviously, you can see that. You can even see the molding line here. Look, around the pie. Obviously not handmade. These are machine made for sure. Anyway, let's go. Just unplug you. Well, let's go and put it in the pie warmer. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Boom. Right. Oh, the workshop's a tip at the moment. Okay, we've got lots to talk about today. We're running really late. Okay, 45 minutes in, we haven't even warmed the pie up yet. There we go, 23 minutes. Okay, so while we're up, what should we do? We'll come back to the comments shortly. Yes. So, very, very quickly, electric brakes. So, the original job was to replace the brake shoes, okay? The brake shoes, they're all in the bin, but they were getting the friction material was getting pretty low. But I noticed on the electromagnets, this is one of them, that there was a lot of scoring on it. And I'm like, that's not right. Surely there shouldn't be any metal to metal contact. And then I looked inside the drum and I'm like, holy shit, it's been rubbing on the inside of the drum. That can't be good. That can't be right. Well, spoiler alert. And I've, in the UK, I've never worked on electric brakes other than the install and the adventure trailer that we built. I never realized, this is how dumb I am sometimes, I never actually realized that the electromagnet actually makes contact with the drum, and it's the drag, being of the magnet being pulled around by the rotating drum. Sorry, it's down this side, by being pulled down by the drum, that actually moves the arm and activates the brakes. I thought it would hover just above the surface, and still be dragged around. So when I saw that, I was like, that can't be right. So I took one with me. Oh, no, sorry, I sent a photo to TWL in Hamilton. Oh, I've got to turn the air compressor off. In Hamilton. And I said, hey, is this normal? And he was like, no, that's not good. No, you shouldn't have scrape marks on there. That's really bad. You'll need new ones. So I ordered new ones. So we got, and they weren't expensive, like $45 each. So we're pretty cheap. But then I thought, nah, this isn't right. There's something going on here. So I went online, and sure enough, who would have thought that anybody in the right mind would have signed off a design where you guarantee that the whole thing relies on metal-to-metal contact? I mean, really? It begs belief. It's the only brake system I've ever come across where you get metal-to-metal contact, onto a rotating piece. Really? I just can't get my head around that. It's just bizarre. Anyway, that's obviously how they work, and I'm even less of a fan of electric brakes now than they used to be perfectly honest. Anyway, a repair that I've got, this is a little pub quiz for you. This is essentially a hinge. These bits used to fit in there, like that, sort of view from the side, and a ramp. There's two of these, one on the side of the trailer, and it's a box trailer, so it sits inboard of the main door. There's a ramp that pivots off here, actually. Pivots off that one, down there. There's a bolt goes through there, and this one is for a lock pin, so you put a pin through to hold the ramp in position. And as you can see, the way it's designed is the two pieces key into there, and they've been welded at the back. Bit of a bizarre design, to be honest. A lot of work and effort gone into something which could have been made a lot more simple. And to be perfectly honest, out of steel, because aluminium isn't the greatest thing for this kind of high stress component. And it's a big ramp, right? It's not small, so there's a lot of stress on this. But saying that, the pivot point is very, very close to the weld point, so you'd think maybe it's going to be okay. I believe the reason why it broke is some dumbass decided to try and drive a forklift truck up the ramp. Yes, wasn't designed for that. It was designed for motorcycles to go up and down. So my thought is, because I can't weld aluminium at the moment, I don't have any wire, and I don't have the right liner for the MIG being down there. So I thought I'd clean all this up, flick it over, clean off the weld, and hopefully I can maybe tap this out 2 holes, drill a couple of holes, tap it out M8, and then put a couple of M8 bolts through, countersunk ones through from the underside. That was my first thought. Oh, it's bent. That was my first thought. And I thought, you know what, Andy, it's a bit of a bodge job, to be honest, and it is quite a lot of stress on there, and there's not a lot of meat on this. Is only 10 mil, so there'll be hardly any material either side. It's probably going to break. So I'm going to have to make that out of steel, and it will be welded along here. I think there'll be enough room to weld it along here. But if it's steel, it'll be a million times stronger anyway. And we'll make it nice. And I'll probably end up making 2, one for the other side as well, because that's just the way I am. But we'll see. We'll see how time goes, because I've only got today to do that. What else have I got to do? I've also got to fit a new plug, because it hasn't got a good one. The plug's knackered. And that's one of those double row things. Okay, back to the comments. We're rushing now. It's time for another cigarette, actually, I think. Turn it around, 3, 2, 1, boom. Get the camera right. There we are. That'll work. Okay, I think so. Yes, that's just fine. Okay, so where do we get to? I'll have a cigarette while the pie's warming up. I could talk to you guys all day. I know I've got work to do, but I could talk to you. That's a bit high, isn't it? I could talk. There we are. That's probably better. There we are. Perfect. But this is actually quite good. There's a lot of comments going on. Vijayant, Andy the Pie. Thank you, Vijayant. It's now in the pie warmer. Good man. Connor K, sorry, mate. Don't need any problems with Mrs. Mechanic. No. Simon, a length of old belt wrapped around a bit of flat bar should hold the primary. You see, yes, that should work. I like to overthink things. Sorry, Simon. Vijayant, Andy, that tool looks like a diesel filter removal and installation tool. Bloody hell, that'd be a massive filter. Look at the size of that. It'd be massive. But it's proved its worth. I mean, it cost me probably about $120 to have that one made, because they did all the measurements as well. I just took them a sheave down and said, I want a tool to do this. And they did it. I did have to, I think, because this is the prototype, I did have to just file just on this edge here. It was a little bit tight on one of the sheaves. So I spent about half an hour on my file just filing it all back. But it works brilliantly now, and it's probably done 30, 40 jobs, that one. It's very useful. Saves a lot of time. And the torque is 190 Newton meters, so it's, it's pretty substantial. And if you don't torque them up, they tear the splines in the sheave. Fact. Where are we? Ernstine Bass. Thanks, love. You're the best. Hey, no worries, mate. Now then, where are we? Vijayant. Andy, did I just spot a new toolbox? Yes. Turn you around. Another toolbox. And another trolley. And nowhere for it to go at the moment. And the toolbox is a bit taller than my normal ones. It's got some extra drawers. So yes, we've got more stuff in the workshop, turn you around, in the workshop to try and find a home for. I have no idea where it's going to go. No idea at all, to be perfectly honest. But we need stuff. We need more space. Everything's full. There's nowhere to put anything. Daniel, Andy, check the pictures. Oh, shit. Sorry, Daniel. You're right. I checked the pictures. My white hair. Let's see what Daniel sent over. Right. My word. Right, here we go. Currently ripping out floors of a house. Holy moly, look at that. It'll be a very dusty job, will that? There you go. Look, Daniel doesn't mind me showing the pictures. Wow. That's a little picture. Nice. It's amazing what you find under floorboards, isn't it? Look at the state of that. Jeez, it's rotten. Bloody hell. Look at that mess. You got your work cut out there, mate. You really have. I don't envy that task. Holy gosh. But I'm sure you'll make a great job of it. You always do. Coolio. Right, where do we get to? Thank you, Daniel. The pictures of the area with the tiles on the floor is the kitchen. It has a total of 8 subfloors on top of the original floor. What the hell? For a total of 3 inches in the kitchen. So obviously as it started to sag, they just kept putting more and more new floors on rather than actually fixing the problem and fixing the joists. Simon, metal to metal contacts, sell more parts, build in redundancy. Yeah, but it's not good, is it, to be honest? Mike Adams, okay, it's supper time here. Supper. I think supper has 2 P's. It's supper time here. I'm off to choke down some chili dogs. Have a good time, y'all. Cheers, Mike. Thanks for joining. Enjoy your supper. Simon, it's a chance to use Sheldon the mill to cut some slots for the plates on the trailer parts, making it even stronger. I haven't got time for that, and I haven't got the bits either, to be honest, Simon. It would be nice to have a little project like that, but it's a charge out job. It has to be ready to roll tomorrow morning. I have admin work to do tomorrow. I can't be in the workshop tomorrow. And Tuesday morning, first thing, up to Auckland. So I'm very pushed for time. It needs to be fixed. And cutting a few plates out and drilling a few holes out of steel. And I've got the steel. I've already earmarked what I'm going to use. That will take long enough, believe me, because I've still got one of the brake. I did one brake on the video. I've just got the other brake to put back together. In fact, I haven't even shown you the backing plate. Next time we get up and about, I'll show you the backing plate with all the new shoes and stuff fitted. And the other problem that I came across as well. Pete Swatman, think it was poor quality weld. There is very little distortion from the brake. Probably. It just wasn't designed for forklift trucks to go up the ramp. I'm surprised it didn't bend the ramp, to be honest. Vijayant, Andy, you need to do a toolbox tour, please. We did. There's about 5 toolbox tour videos on the channel. We did lots of different toolboxes. But yes, maybe we should do another one sometime. When I get a chance. Just remind me maybe at the next live stream. In fact, remind me when I'm back in the workshop, because this will be the last live stream in the workshop for 5-6 weeks. There will be live streams from the South Island. Believe me, there's definitely live streams coming from the South Island. And if we're really lucky, yes, we might do a live stream on the Sunday morning if Sheldon, if you're still there, we might do a live stream from your engineering workshop, and you can talk about some of the tools that you've got, some of the machinery, because it's some pretty cool gear down there. It really is. And we'll have a pie on the Sunday morning, because I think I am there. Or I can make sure I'm there. We'll work it out. We'll sort something out. We will. John Nuttall. Morning, John. How is the tractor steering box coming along? And hit the like button, lads. Thank you, John. You reminded me, I have to pull out one of the bushes on the sector shaft. Thank you, Sheldon. On the sector shaft. Because those bushes need to be replaced. The worm drive steering shaft, the one that comes the input to the gearbox, that needs to go up to Auckland to get ground to accept the new taper roller bearings. So that's where we're at. So the owner, Dinesh, he's busy trying to source all the parts and get the machining done while I'm in the South Island. When I come back, we can do the reassembly video and get it all set up properly. And that'll be it. Hopefully one more video to go. So that's currently on hold, waiting for parts. But yeah, I'm very happy the way things are going. We have a plan. I've just got to get one of those bushes out, hopefully. Obviously, I'll measure the diameter of the sector shaft as well, sending that information through so we know what diameter the new bushes need to be, because you might have to get them made up rather than buy new original parts. Now then, where do we get to? Daniel, do you know how the funny thing about me telling you about cars and cameras, I mentioned it to you about 3 or 4 years ago, and you really should check them out, and I guess apparently you haven't since. Daniel, I have probably one of the world's worst memories at the moment. Live streams are just a whirlwind. And if I don't do something straight away after the live stream that somebody's recommended, I often forget. And my sincere apologies. I just focus on the next job and get on with it. I've only got probably another, after the live stream, 8 hours to get that trailer finished before it be dark. So, gotta crack on. Sorry, Daniel. Kevin, Machine AZ. Thanks for the stream, Andy. Must get on. Yes, we've all got jobs to do. Managed to find a surface grinder. You did. I saw that being unloaded on your post. At last. So going to just going through it and checking it over. Jones and Shipman 540. We'll watch the rest later. I even checked out online the Jones and Shipman 540 surface grinder that you bought and the specs. A very cool piece of kit and well done finding one. Made in England. Which is, of course, all good machinery comes from England. Now then, AJ44, how about start making the part right now whilst the pie is warming? And we'll watch and look over your shoulder while you're working on making welding the plates. Man, it'd go on forever, wouldn't it? No, I can't. I have often thought about doing live stream repair videos. It's hard enough making normal videos, to be honest. There's a lot of stop starting goes on, and cigarettes and coffee and things. There's a lot of setup to get the big going and stuff. So maybe sometime I'll plan something like that, but it's not going to be today. Sorry, but good idea. Maybe when I get better internet, I might just set up the live stream and it can just film for the whole day, and I'll just be doing stuff, and you can just drop in and drop out whenever you want, and I'll just check the comments now and again. We'll see how things pan out, but it's a good idea. It's a great idea. Would it get many views? I don't know, but that doesn't really matter. The channel's not about views. The channel's just about you guys, basically. Now then, where we get to Daniel Bell. I'm also a subscriber of Jonathan W's YouTube channel. Good man. Daniel, again, if you like to learn stuff on steam engines and whatnot, I think he will be your go-to guy. He is extremely knowledgeable on that kind of stuff. I've not really done much with steam engines, to be fair. I did have a chance of making one when I was at school, but I decided to make a power hacksaw instead, which is still in England somewhere, I think. Simon, will Machine NZ not be up for you to collaborate on the tractor box? May get you some more subs both ways. That's a very good idea, actually. A very good idea. Could I get it organised? I probably could, actually. Yes, leave that with me. I might get him to make some bushes up for us. That'll be cool. Good idea, Simon. AJ44, no stopping till the ding of the pie oven. Correct. Richard Perry, wow, a late one. Hi, Andy and crew. Hope all are well. GB thumbs up. Good morning, Richard, and welcome back to the workshop, matey. And don't worry about being late. I was very nearly late today as well. Ooh, cold coffee. Daniel, he also has a variety of steam engines and steam engine repair videos. I should look at that. Simon Rawl, if you're anything like me, a live stream repair video will have 2 hours trying to find the bolts you've lost. That's what I'm worried about. A lot can go wrong, and it can just be a bit of trauma. And sometimes I have to really focus on the best way of doing repair. And to do it live to camera, I don't know, it puts me under a lot more pressure, doesn't it? I don't know. We'll see. We'll see what comes up. Connor K, click the like. Thank you, Connor. Daniel Bedell, you're all good, brother. I have that same problem myself, lol. Yeah, it takes a very brave person to do a repair video live. It really does. And there have been videos that I've made or I've started to film and I've got to the point going, you know what, this isn't working. This there's not really much benefit to anybody watching this video. It's all gone a bit to pot. Or sometimes I have to make a bit of a ad hoc repair that I really don't want to publicize my name on. You know, it gets the job done and it sort of works, but no, that's not going out to the world. What have we got? Nothing important. That's good. Okay. Yes, I don't think the pie's got much longer left, so let's have a little look at this backing plate and the new brake shoes, and maybe I can dig out the old ones. Yes, I can dig those out of the bin, and we can compare those while the pie's finishing off. Turn you around, 3, 2, 1, boom! There we go, it was a bit loud, wasn't it? Okay, so, first of all, we need some stuff out. Look at the bin, it's full of stuff. Oh, there's one, that'll do. We'll have that one. Okay, this one's still got a bit of meat on it, by the way. Okay, so, there is some more bits, actually. Look, I've got bits left over. Yes. And the reason for that is the new brake shoes, which are all installed here now, were wrong. They were actually quite wrong. If you look down here, we've got angled slots for the brake spring, for the main brake spring, and another one here for the little retaining springs and pins and stuff. So I had to manually alter the brake shoes to get the springs in. There, look, I actually drilled some extra holes and filed them out on that. Also, there is, and more importantly, the most important bit is this slot here. Now, if you look at the new ones, there is no slot, just a hole. And that's for the handbrake brackets. Hang on, let me see if I can get the handbrake bracket out. Bear with me. Bear with me, people. Honestly. Right. There we go. So, I can get this held right around. Like that. Yes, they are handed. So, this is for the other... no, this is for this side, actually. So that goes... It would go... either side of, so that little arm there fits through there, and the shoe locks into that slot there, and of course you've got the other shoe there, which that slot at the other end locks into, and the arm goes through the back, and then there's a spring, a return spring, and your cable connects to that eyelet just at the end there. Look, obviously that couldn't be fitted. Now, yes, I could have drilled it all out and filed it all to make it all work, but this trailer doesn't have a handbrake anyway, so there was no point. So these parts, realistically, were just redundant anyway. So stick those over there. Don't need those. What else? That was about it. The new magnets installed. We've got the adjuster down the bottom. And the adjuster, the actual cam wheel of the adjuster rests against that spring. And that's why it doesn't just, you know, rotate on its own. It should hold adjustment. I did make a couple of bits of angle iron just to mount the whole thing in the vise, because I can actually fit this to the trailer assembled, which is a real bonus. I mean, it was much nicer assembling all this on the bench than it was trying to do it outside. Plus, it allowed me to film it properly, and I think we got some really good footage on the filming of how it all goes together. But it was in a pretty poor state. There was no. It was very rusty where the shoes make contact with the backing plates, and there was a lot of drag. The shoes weren't floating very well at all, so it was a real problem. Oh, I saw that somebody. It was Vijay says I should take the old shoes back and they can reline them. They could. In New Zealand they don't bother. And revelation time. We go over here. Guess what I did? So in order for me to get all the holes and bits and pieces in the right place, I cut off the outer piece that holds the lining around there, and then I was able to use that as a template. It was pretty quick to do, and it just guaranteed I got things in the right place. So a little trick on my part. And yeah, I mean, okay, I haven't had to do slots. As long as the spring goes in and it's got a piece behind to lock it in place, I think it'll work just fine. Hopefully, fingers crossed. It's this trailer has got about maybe 5,000 kilometers to do, starting on a week on Monday. In 8 days' time, it embarks on a 5-week. It'll be on the back of my ute for 5 weeks, this trailer. So I need to make damn sure that it's good to go. Because it's me towing it, you see. Oh, we're nearly there, look. We're nearly there. Yes, that'll do. That'll do. I'm getting hungry. Right, here we go. It's quite hot. In fact, it's very hot. You can't. If it was thermovision, you'd be able to see how hot it was. All right, we'll stick that on there. The only clean thing in the workshop at the moment. Turning around, 3, 2, 1, boom. There we go. That should work. It's not going to fall off. Okay. Where did we get to? Going back. Right. Well, I know for a fact you would definitely have at least 50 people watching. That's for sure. And on top of that, if you saved it, people will who will go onto YouTube and post it. Okay. Jonathan W. A lot of knowledge about a lot of different things, including making a sawmill. Wow, a sawmill. Never made a sawmill before. Simon, should put a camera next to the lathe. See parts come flying out of the chuck, jumping out of the way more than once. You want me to deliberately stage an accident? It's not often I have things flying out of the chuck, to be honest. I'm usually pretty good. Daniel, he actually built his own sawmill. That is phenomenal. Well done, mate. John Nuttall. Andy, when did you last talk with Steve, Simply Diag? How's he doing now? He is regularly posting on Facebook. He seems a lot better, to be perfectly honest. He's pretty active. He's also having some good grub again now. He's definitely off the salads, which is nice. I think he's even enjoying the odd pint, which is even better. Although I could be wrong on that. He does post pints of Guinness, but maybe he's not the drinker. I don't know. Maybe I'm sure he could validate that for you. But no, he seems to be doing pretty well, and it's great to see him bounce back the way that he has. He's been very, very ill for quite a period of time. Had a pretty serious operation, I think. And yeah, it's good to have him back. It really is. I was drinking out of his mug yesterday. I really was. Oh, too cold. Vijayant. In South Africa, we get money back for the old brake shoes, a deposit back as they can reline them. I can imagine in South Africa that they would definitely do that. They're very good at reusing components. Here, unfortunately, New Zealand has become, just like most of Europe and probably the States as well now, a very disposable world. You just buy new brake shoes. I was a little bit disappointed that we've been supplied the wrong ones, and there was no time, unfortunately, to take those back and reorder the correct ones if they could have got them, making them work. And they were very, very similar, don't get me wrong. I mean, most of it was the same. It'll be fine. I'm sure it'll be absolutely fine now. But it is what it is, and sometimes you just got to pull your finger out and make it work. Now, I did drop my pen, so bear with me. Just talk amongst yourselves for a second. I need my pen. There he is. Right. Okay, I'm back. Boom, boom, boom. There we go. Right, where do we get to? Now, AJ44. The bright side of doing it live is we'll see the real tool throwing. Can't find my parts and swearing. Andy in the workshop. Yes, you would definitely see that, I'm sure. Also, if you hurt yourself, we can call an ambulance. Yeah, I not often I hurt myself. Usually I get a bit of metal in my eye when I'm grinding or something. That's probably the worst. My worst fear is crap getting in my eyes. They've had a lot of pain over the years of my eyes. They've had a lot of stuff go in them that shouldn't have gone in them. Bits of metal and grime and all sorts that I've had to have digged out with at the hospital. Simon, jobs you don't want to put your name to. There is a CG125 with a welded rocker arm still going strong 3 years later. Oh, son. Mind you, CG125, bloody good bike. Absolutely spot on they are. Friend of mine had a CG125, Hugh Owen was his name. Good mate at school. I have no idea what his dad used to work, I think, for Rowntree's, from memory. I think he was some kind of accountant or something. I really can't remember. It's a long, long time ago. I remember him sat on his CG125 in his garage, filling his bike up with petrol, smoking a cigarette. And I said to him, that is not a good idea. You really have to put that cigarette out. And he did. He flicked it out the back of the workshop onto the driveway. But I thought, man, that could have gone up at any second, you know. But we did a few good bike rides together. And he was a good rider. We had a good laugh, actually. Good old Hugh. Right, we're going in. The pie. Holy crap. Can't let that go. Oh, I've got a grub. It's going to taste nicer now. Look, it's got oil on it. It's all right, it'll taste better. So, Christ, honestly, my trousers are filthy at the moment. This is a pork and apple from Wild Bean Cafe. You picked this up it's come out of the freezer. We picked it up about a week ago. I'm going in. Yeah. I do like pork. I really do like roast pork. We've got roast pork for tea tonight. Mrs. Mechanic bought a leg of piggy, so that should taste really nice. She does like to do her roast meals. It does taste a bit slimy. There you go, look. Any big chunks of pork yet? No, not really. I'm going to keep going. It is a perfect temperature, though. Okay, one more bite and then we'll start scoring it. Yeah, it does taste a bit slimy. Funny kind of consistency. Normally, you know, pork and apple, it's nice chunks of pork with the apple. There's a lot of mush in there. I don't quite know what the mush is, but it's a bit weird. It's not stuffing or anything like that. Anyway, taste, stroke, flavour. It's all right. Would I have it again? Probably would so far. Okay. I'll give it a 6. I think it's worth a 6 on the taste, stroke, flavour. Now, Structure Foley Partners, it was perfect prior to being cooked. It was perfect after being cooked. There was no thermal cracks. We've got a little bit of cracking going on now that I'm eating it. That's because of, you know, stresses, I suppose. A little bit of flaky pastry coming off, but nothing major. Not like some of the pies we've had. I'm going to give it, well, I'm going to give it a 10, actually. It feels extremely solid. It's not you know, it's definitely a one-handed pie. So we'll give it a 10 for structure. That might drop down if we start to get any problems further down the line. Runnability check, well, 45 degrees. It's solid. There's nothing's going to move on there. It is just, you know, congealed mush inside the pie. There's no runny gravy, nothing like that. So it's just solid. It's not going to go anywhere at all. So gets a 10 for that one. Meat quality, very good question. Okay. That had a lump of meat in it. Incidentally, I had my go-to pie is the gourmet steak and cheese, as you all know, from the Wild Bean Cafe. I had one the other day, and there was a big lump of gristle in it. And that's about the third time that's happened recently. So that the quality of the meat has definitely dropped on the steak and cheese, and I'm not happy. Not happy at all. They do a steak, cheese, and bacon. And I think we did rate it actually not too long ago, and it's pretty nice. I think it got one point more than the steak and cheese, but I found myself still going for the steak and cheese. I don't know why. Probably just habit. Right, there's one more piece of meat there. Hang on. That was a little bit gristly. Okay, so meat quality could be a lot better, to be honest. I'm going to give it a 5. I'm not over impressed by the meat quality. Now then, contents to pastry ratio. A bit hard to see actually because I'm going to get loads of oil on this thing. There we go. Just open it up a bit. Oh, hang on. There's somebody at the door. Bear with me. Hang on a second. It might be a coffee. Oh, look at that. Thank you. I'm back. And I have a fresh coffee. Nice. Thank you, Mrs. Mechanic. Obviously listening to the live stream. So I'm definitely in trouble later on. Thanks, Connor. No. It's not that hot, actually. It's all right, though. Pie to crust ratio, that's where we're at. So the pastry is pretty thin. Very comparable to the steak and cheese pies. Not too much pastry in the top corners either. They've obviously been listening to my live streams and trying to cut that down. We have got a bit of a fracture going on there, but it's, as you can see, if I push it together, it's not too bad at all. So there is a reasonable amount of contents in there versus the amount of pastry. So I'm going to give them an 8 for that. That's not too bad. Now, availability logistics. You can't buy them online, but you can buy them at all the BP petrol stations, or nearly all the BP petrol stations around New Zealand, which are all, you know, on the main roads of major cities and towns and stuff. Some places have got 2 or 3 BPs, like in Invercargill and stuff. There's quite a selection down there. And Auckland, obviously. You can't buy them from dairies, but they are ready to eat as soon as you buy them. So that is a bit of a bonus. What do I give them? Probably only a 6 though, realistically, because it's only those petrol stations and you've got to go to a BP to get this pie. So I'll give them a 6 for that. They should do orders online. They really, really should. Now, pastry taste rating. So let me just pry a bit of pastry off. Usually Wild Bean Cafe pastries are pretty good. They put a bit of seasoning on the top there, look. Very nice. Oh, there's a bit of meat. Not bad. At least they're decent sized chunks of meat. Now, you see, it's still going. More meat. Oh, that was a big chunk. But still, the meat tastes a bit spongy. It's not like you'd get straight off the bone kind of meat, you know. I think it's been modified in some way, whether it's been tumbled or what, I don't know, but it's not. It doesn't seem original. It seems to be modified somehow, which is a bit weird. Pastry. I'm going to give them an 8. I do like Wild Bean Cafe pastry, and they've put plenty of seasoning on top as well, so it gives it a bit of additional kick. Still tasty when cold. That's a good point. Would it taste cold? I don't mind pork cold. I have a lot of pork sandwiches and stuff, but with all the mush that's in there and the apple, I'm not a fan of cold apple in a pie, you know. I think it'll just taste a bit weird kind of texture. So, for me, based on how it tastes warm, I don't think it'll taste that good cold. I really don't. I'm going to give it I'm going to give it a 4, I think. And that is only a guess. It has cooled down quite a bit. It's not cold at the moment, but I think with all that slime and stuff in there, I don't think it would taste that good. Packaging design, well, pretty simple. It's a paper bag. This is one of the original paper bags. So that particular branch that we got this from is obviously still using the old ones. Very simple design. It says on the back, please dispose of bag thoughtfully and recycle where possible. So it is recyclable. It's only a paper bag. That answers the next question, actually. The design, pretty basic. I think maybe only a 5 for that. But it is recyclable, and they've told us it's recyclable, so they get full marks for that. So they get 10 for that one. Post-pie heartburn. Well, that's 1. That burping on command there. I don't feel like it's going to cause me any real heartburn. It's not spicy. It doesn't. I'm not getting that reaction to it. So I'll give it 9 for now. But if we get any more burpy burps, then obviously it'll come down. And obviously after the video, after the live stream, if I do start to get heartburn, I will modify the score. I'm pretty keen on that. I hate having heartburn. It really winds me up. Just jumping to the last one, Pie Servo Attractiveness. A new young lady starting at this is the Tiru petrol station, I believe, from memory we got this from. Very welcoming, very happily, very smiley, very helpful. I would give her, I'm going to give her an 8. I think she deserves an 8. I think she's done a great job. And I have seen her at the same petrol station since then, and she's always well presented and stuff. Obviously takes a bit of time in the mornings before she goes to work. Sounds terrible, doesn't it? Anyway, if she puts the effort in, they get the marks. Simple as that. Now then, where we get to? Geez, you guys have been busy. Simon was chatting with a guy up the street on how on a weekend everyone was working on their own cars. Don't see that anymore. I don't even see people washing their own cars on a weekend anymore. Yeah, all that's the thing of oh no. We had a pie-tastrophe. Look, contents. Runnability. That's going to change, isn't it? I'm going to knock it 2 points off for that. So we're down to 8. It wasn't quite so good there. You can see that mush starting to ooze out, which is weird because it's a lot cooler now than when we started. Bit of pie management going on here. Okay, so one more score to go, and that is the stuffability score. So the only way I can do that is by finishing the pie. Bugger. Missed. I always miss. And the bin's full. It was going to be a difficult one. So, on reflection, very weird consistency, that pie. Quite slimy. Mrs. Mechanic has had one of those pies, or a couple of those pies now in the past. I've never had one before. This is the first time I've had one, so I didn't quite know what she was getting at. But she said some mouthfuls have the consistency of baby food. Now, I'm not in the habit of eating baby food. However, Mrs. Mechanic, no doubt, during the upbringing of our 3 children, will no doubt have licked a spoon of baby food on, or maybe, I don't know, done a demonstration to the baby. This is what you do, and eaten a bit. I wasn't too involved with that. I was probably outside fixing Jeeps at the time. So she definitely would know what she's talking about when it comes to that particular subject. I could imagine that that's probably how it does taste. And I think some baby food did have apple in it. So I can see why she's thinking that. A bit weird. Now, another point gone. Oh, 2 down to 7. It does seem to be sitting a bit heavy. I must admit, it's a bit odd. The sensation, the feeling in my stomach from eating that. I don't think I'd have another one. It feels a bit odd, to be honest. Stuffability score. Am I stuffed? Yes, I'm full. It did the trick. Did it satisfy me? No, not really. My expectations of a pork and apple pie. It's like, ooh, roast pork. That'll be nice. Didn't meet those expectations. You know, it really didn't. It was way off the mark. So I'll give it. I'm not still hungry, and that's what it's all about. So I'm going to give it. Ooh, bit of a gurgle going on there now. I'm not satisfied though. I'm going to give it 9. Okay, that was a hard pie to score. It really was. And if we had a category, did it meet expectations? That would be a very good category to have. It would have scored very poorly on that. It didn't match what I anticipated it to be as a pork and apple pie. But anyway, right, let's add up the scores. Turn you around, 3, 2, 1, boom. Okay, I'm a bit concerned that this live stream is dragging on, so we need to crack on. Hopefully you can see what's going on. Okay. We've got 16, 24, 29, 37, 43, 51, 55, 60, 70, 77, 86, 94. 94 is the score. Okay, and the big scores were structure for the partners. Oh man. Yeah, we already knocked down the roadability, so yeah, okay, I'll give it that. We won't change that one. So big score, structure for the partners, very, very good. Recyclable score of the bag, very, very good. But the pie and the contents was good versus the pastry. And the pastry itself tasted really nice, but that's sort of pretty standard across the Wild Bean Cafe pies, to be fair. But the actual pie and its contents, the actual contents of the pie, the meat quality, the taste, the runnability to some extent, you know, it caught me out near the end. It set me up to fail. It was really, really good until the last few bites, and all of a sudden a great amount of goo just oozed out and straight onto my hand, which was not good, you know. Not good at all. Especially if we were driving, that'd be terrible. So 94 it is. We need to go and get a magnetic strip. Sorry, crew. I completely forgot to get that this morning in my hastiness. Oh, by the way, September's looking nice and warm, isn't it? Very good, Forge. Good job. Right. Let's have a look in here. What do we got down here? Bum, 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 bum. Right. The next strip. Okay, I'm going down. All this wandering around, you'll be getting nausea probably. Okay, so Wild Bean Cafe. Pork and apple. 94. And tastes like baby food. poor meat. Yeah, that'll remind us later on, won't it? Don't buy that one again, Andy. I think Mrs. Mechanic's gone off them now as well, to be fair. She won't be having any more of those. Problem is, she does struggle to find something that she likes at the Wild Bean Cafe. There was one thing that she, like a phyllo pastry thing that she really, really, really liked, and they've stopped doing them. Oh, look, we're down here. 94 is a good score because there's plenty of space on the board for 94s. It wasn't rigged, I can guarantee that. You see here, look, you see, this is where they miss out. We've got the Patiki Bakery roast pork, nuts, mushrooms, and cheese. Very tasty, 94. And then we've got the Wild Bean Cafe pork and apple, 94. But the only reason why it scored higher is because, you know, the structure side of it, probably the availability, the fact that the bag was fully recyclable, all that kind of stuff. But out of those two pies, I would definitely go for that one without a shadow of a doubt. And this one here, you see, again, same bakery, steak and mushroom, 94, pretty tasty. So realistically, if you were only scoring the pie, look at the state of my hands. If you're only scoring the pie itself and not those additional categories, that pie would be way, probably down here somewhere with these guys. So my recommendation is, from me at least, and Mrs. Mechanic, don't buy that pie. It's not worth it. It's not that tasty. Okay, and on that note, let's head back to the bench. Right, it is quite warm. It's nowhere near as cold since I flicked over the September picture. In the workshop, things are definitely picking up, which is good. You know, obviously spring's coming. I had to say that bit, obviously. I'll get into trouble otherwise. Right. Okay, so where do we get to? Let's scroll back a little bit. We've got a chance for one more cigarette, and then see, we're already over time. But that's okay. I'm enjoying this live stream very much. Catching up. Here we go. Right, Daniel. I can tell you this much with my absolute certainty that the rear drum brakes for my truck, which is a 1992 Chevrolet Silverado C1500, cost me between $35 and $50, and for me to get them relined with new, that's very cheap. That's very, very, very cheap. What cost me about $150. Wow. Extra flavor, yes. Lots of extra flavor. Simon, we live in a very wasteful society. Replace rather than fix or rebuild. Very disposable. That's right. And I think we could, you know, a lot of places now, when it comes to things like differentials and stuff, you know, when they start to whine a little bit, or they just need a new pinion bearing putting in the seal, a lot of places now will just put a new diff in it. I know some areas they will call them diff heads. I just call them diffs. That's, you know, but the same thing. They'll just swap out the component and put a new one in. There's not that many people that I know that actually know how to correctly set up a diff. It's something that I learned to do in the UK when I was doing the Jeeps, and then that knowledge was further instilled or built upon when I started teaching at Unitech. And you know, there are different methods depending on the manufacturer of the diff, and that does cause a bit of confusion as well, whether it's a crushable collar on the pinion or whether it's got the spacers, you know, the actual shims in there. And they're a pain in the ass to do, because you often end up partly rebuilding the diff, doing some measurements, and then having to take the pinion back out again to add some more shims or take shims away and stuff, if it's a shim based adjustment. And also it's a bit of a compromise as well. You know, you've got the backlash and the preload to worry about, tooth contact to try and get as good as you can as well. So yeah, it's a bit of an art. And I think because of that, a lot of mechanics just don't want to know. They're just like, nah, we'll just stick another one in that we know is right, put a new one in it, whatever that's been set up at the factory, and just charge the customer. We don't want any comebacks. We don't want to waste loads of time, which is, you know, how long it takes to set a diff up. sometimes you can do it pretty quick, other times it takes bloody ages. And it's difficult to charge out those differences in time for each particular job. Daniel, referring to specifically your paw print on the pie. Yes, sorry, mate. I did actually wash my hands when I came into the workshop, and of course they got pretty grubby again pretty quick. Yeah, my trousers and my shirt are in a bit of a mess at the moment. That's all right. I'm working in the workshop. That's what you expect. John Nuttall, working on a Honda CBR 125 tomorrow. Key on, but nothing works. No wiring diagram as yet. And to new for me, it's a 2009, and too new for me. It's a 2019. Ooh, that'd be interesting. CBR 125 would have an immobilizer on something as small as that. Probably not. But nothing works. No wiring diagram. So nothing works as in there's no power to the dash. If that's the case, then it could just be something like a blown fuse caused by a wire that's chafed through or short to ground or something. If the dash comes on and it won't crank, then it could be an immobilizer issue. If they have an immobilizer on those, there seems to be probably a bit of a small bike for that. Simon, any lights on the dash, John? There you go. It started. No, on battery's good. Okay, well, that's a pretty simple diagnostic then. Just get your multimeter or test light and work your way through the loom and see where the voltage stops. See if you've got power to the ignition switch. John Nuttall, it could be just a faulty ignition switch. They tend to find that the componentry on those small bikes is pretty cheap and nasty these days. And that's not just Honda. John, been told it all goes through the ECU, but don't know if that's a fact. No, the power initially will go through a fuse box, and then it'll go to the ignition switch, and then maybe that'll then power up the ECU, and then the ECU will do all the other stuff. But no, you'll definitely have probably a fuse box with a number of different fuses in it, and just look for the blown fuse, and that'll give you an indication which circuit the problem could be on. Simon, the starter solenoid has a bridged pin on it to give power to the rest of the bike. I've seen that get the green crusties. Good call, Simon. Daniel Biddle, elements of mechanic or welcome to the live stream. Glad to see that you are up and about. Oh, Mrs. Mechanic, correct. She is up and about. John Nuttall, I checked that fuse on the solenoid today. Have you got power? You've got power both sides. You've got power getting to that fuse. Simon, that fuse runs up to the live on the ignition switch. You see, he's a wealth of knowledge. John Dwyer, morning, sir. Andy, loved the first video on the go-kart. I would just have built a new frame. Probably, but that wouldn't be a restoration then, and I don't think there's many people have done restorations on, and actually repaired a go-kart frame as opposed to just build a new one. I wanted to repair it. I wanted to keep that Manco Dingo frame and just bring it back to life. That's the plan. Again, it's all about repairing and making good as opposed to just replace. Yes, I could have made a new frame, but then I would have made a completely different frame, and it would be a much, much bigger project, I think. And I haven't got time for that at the moment. John Nuttall, on forums, I see a lot have the same fault, but I've not seen the fix. That's interesting. Simon, is it time to do the King of Pies table? King of Pies. I like that. I mean, we do have, like a top 10 of pies already on the cupboard, don't we? So maybe that would, transfer across to King of Pies. I'll have to have a think about that one. Simon, it is not the case that in developed countries it's not the case that in developed countries the mechanics have been de-skilled. Looking at less rich countries, they fix and rebuild. Yeah, I think you're right. I think the ability to strip, diagnose, and repair you know, and rebuild is definitely becoming more and more lost in developed countries. In third world countries, they have to make do. And New Zealand used to be like that. You know, they would make do. #8 wire. You know, in Yorkshire, a bit of baling twine. We'll make it work. We'll come up with a solution to get it working with the parts that we've got. Ivan is a great ambassador of no parts required. I really like his videos for that aspect. Don't just fire the parts cannon. But the skill set to do that, because the cultures come in, the skill set is diminishing. And a lot of workshops don't provide the mechanic the time to do that kind of repair work anymore. And it's getting harder and harder to find the individual components to do those kind of repairs. That's the problem. We keep hitting walls. So, last cigarette. We're still on a warm coffee. Thank you, Mrs. Mechanic. And we are 1 hour and 45 minutes into this live stream, which means we are way overdue, unfortunately. I think we're about there. We've had a good chat about lots of stuff, fitting clutches in the snow and eating pies that taste like baby food. It's been a weird live stream, hasn't it? But it's been great, and lots of comments. So thank you very much for that. I'm pleased that those that have watched it already, the first video on the go-kart build, if you haven't seen it yet, that video is more about building the jig in order to allow me to replace sections of the pipework, the frame of the go-kart, without losing any kind of dimensions. Basically, it's keeping everything true and where it should be, assuming that it hasn't previously been crashed. And being a go-kart, if it's anything like my old go-kart, it would have been crashed many times. Yes, because children are not the best drivers, to be fair. Or adults showing off to children are not the best drivers. So it's probably had a hard life. And the guy that used to own it, that gave it to Jared, is he's a racing car driver, believe it or not. So maybe it wasn't crashed. Who knows? Or maybe this is the go-kart that he learned to drive in. I don't know. Certainly his kids would have done. I don't know how old he is, but interesting project, and looking forward to doing, you know, episode 3 and getting the rest of the pipes replaced, getting the front end re-welded all up, remade and welded into place, and then we can start on the engine. We can start to plan how we're going to mount the engine, how we're going to do the chain adjustment, and all that kind of stuff. Wiring should be pretty simple. I'm going to make my own bespoke wiring harness, so to try and keep the wiring to a bare minimum. We've got some switch gear to put on the bike as well. It'll have electric start and things. So yeah, it's going to be pretty cool. There might even be a rear brake upgrade as well. We might go for hydraulic brakes rather than a cable operated brake, using the caliper off the front brake on the DR with the DR's brake disc. I don't know yet. We'll see how things pan out. They're all ideas. Anyway, crew, thank you very much for watching again and joining me in my humble workshop. I will see you again in 2 weeks' time, and I think that weekend I'll be in Christchurch. I will. Don't know how cold it is down there. Better take a coat. All right, crew. Thanks for watching. Cheers. Over and out.